I just shared it on my...
Howdy, howdy. It's Trisha Lee here in Alberta, Canada, presenting you with our Disruptive Technology Hangout. We had some major technical difficulty. We didn't get on with you all. And we also had a change in plans because of made affecting the solar power industry. So with me as esteemed partner, Larry Lever. Larry is the VP of Product Development for Kingston Solar Systems and TK Environmental here in Camrose, Alberta, Canada. Includes creating the patented technology that allowed the company Suncast Polyurethanes to still in operation to today, to this very day, that company, and focus into the recycler practices. And tonight he's going to share with us, and it came out of Germany, that's going to have a major effect on photovoltaic solar panel production, and I guess manufacturing and all that kind of stuff is going to be affected by this announcement. With us, Larry.
Yeah. Well, the announcement is it is pretty earth-shattering. Basically, there was an announcement by the PV magazine is where I heard it. I subscribe to both Solar Thermal magazine and PV magazine simply because I'm in the business and I like to stay abreast as to what's going on. And I think it was last week that I received an update, email update about new solar panels that they're being referred to as PV modules. Have recently passed the Fraunhofer CSE tests. And what these are tests to see how well these photovoltaic modules will withstand up to nature. And so the Fraunhofer Institute is pretty much the go-to place when it comes to state-of-the-art technology. A lot of technology is being developed there, or not developed, but tested and analyzed there, and they always have their eyes open. So this company is, it's called Giga Solar, and they've essentially taken the glass out of manufacturing solar panels. And that's very revolutionary, because when you look at houses that have solar panels on them, they have, you can see the glass because it's kind of reflective, not very reflective because they put an anti-reflective coating on it, but you'll see them sitting on a house. They're usually quite square. As long as they're the photovoltaic ones, you can actually sometimes see all the different solar cells that make them up, but you'll also see aluminum frames that actually hold them onto the house. And so with this new technology, it has basically eliminated the need to put any kind of holes into the roof of your house or any building in order to attach these modules, simply because they don't have any glass. They're a lot more lightweight, and I guess they're less expensive and quicker to install.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay, you just cut off there. I missed the last thing that you said. What was that?
Oh, basically that these new glassless solar panels are going to make it a lot easier to install on buildings because they don't contain any glass, and so it makes them easier to install. So, and probably less expensive at the same time.
So you were explaining to me earlier about how there's already been some like effects that you think have been caused by this, as far as you said there was a company that was sold. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
The companies that are selling their manufacturing processes. Well, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but I've also been getting some reports that some of the big companies are selling off manufacturing facilities where they manufacture wafers, and wafers have always been silicon wafers have always been an integral part of solar panels and an integral part of making electricity by using the sun. I'm not sure if this gigasolar company with these new glassless modules actually have eliminated that need. So I know they've eliminated the glass and they've eliminated the frame. I'm not sure if they've also been able to eliminate the silicon wafers, because the silicon wafers are really fragile. And so that's why I was kind of really surprised to see that they could make something like this and not have a frame to support it. So I imagine they might be using a different process for actually manufacturing their, well, they definitely are using a different process, but as far as using silicon wafers, they might not be using that. And so this is kind of game-changing technology, because when you consider the amount of aluminum alone that goes into setting up a solar farm, or even putting solar panels on your home, they've always needed these lightweight aluminum frames, basically to hold everything together and keep them from getting damaged in winds or in nasty sort of climate changes. They're designed to survive those sort of things. And so, yeah, it's if I was a manufacturer of solar panels, which I'm not, our technology at King Sunshine Solar is quite a bit different than anything on the market. And we're not on the market yet, but we're very close. But our technology is quite a bit different. So if I was a manufacturer of solar panels in that industry, or photovoltaics, I would not be rushing out to go buy a wafer manufacturing business. Some businesses are thinking differently, and they're going out and buying probably at bargain basement prices some of these struggling solar panel or solar photovoltaic companies, because they're available. But with things that are changing so fast, I don't know if it's a smart thing to do. Some of these companies are already struggling. Like Sun Edison right now is having a hard go of it. And they've always been a really strong company, and their stock has kind of plummeted over the past few months or several months. Not sure exactly the reason for that. It's just, it might be something to do with the way they're running their business. I'm not exactly sure, but a company like that, I'm just using that as them as an example, as a company that might be making decisions like to buy up these manufacturing facilities in an environment that is changing. It's you know, a word that we would use from the financial planning mutual fund industry. Only one word comes to my mind, and that's volatile. It's a volatile market right now, not based on money, but based on technology. The changing, the speed at that this technology is changing, especially for photovoltaics. Like there was just there's also the thin film solar panels, which are basically a film, like almost like saran wrap, a little stronger than that. That works like solar panels, and they've just announced that they've increased their efficiency. Can't remember the name of the company, but I just got an update on that this week, that they've improved the efficiency by up to 22%, which was actually a recent record breaker for solar panels. So things are quite volatile when it comes to these new technologies that are being developed. And it's really, it's kind of mind-blowing to see that this is going on. So with these new ultralight solar modules that they're using some kind of composite technology to assemble their solar panels or photovoltaics. So the standard glass has been removed, like I say, making them a lot more lightweight, and that changes the entire industry. There's not going to be a need for aluminum frames to hold things together, to keep them mounted on your roof. One of our suppliers is a really big company. They're a global company, and they supply us with some film, which is a UV blocking film. And I was talking to our contact there the other day about something we're working on. I said, by the way, did you hear about GigaSolar's new technology? Or I told him, have you heard about the news from Fraunhofer? Because everybody seems to recognize that as a standard of the photovoltaic industry. And he said, no, he hadn't heard anything. And I told him the news, and I could tell on the phone, it sounded like his jaw dropped to the floor, because it's going to be great. I have a hunch that it's going to be really, really good for the businesses that are in the film, composite film manufacturing business. Basically, film as in plastic film, like I say, Mylar or that sort of type of plastic. Simply because I think that's where things are going to be going as far as mounting these solar panels on the houses. I think it's going to almost be, if you can imagine, actually wrapping your house in solar panels, like wrapping your house with saran wrap. Not exactly the same, but I have a hunch that's kind of where it's going to be going. So very little modifications to the house, which means a huge cost savings to the homeowner having these new types of these new solar panels installed on their homes. There's really not a lot of news about it. It's like, I wouldn't say it's hush hush, but it's definitely patented technology that they've got going here. And so as soon as everybody knows, as soon as this technology gets over to China, it's going to be coming out everywhere, all over the world, globally. And you want to talk disruptive technology, we're probably going to see, if these solar panel, the standard photovoltaic manufacturing companies, if we don't see them making changes to this new lightweight material, we're going to probably see a lot of those big companies disappear, or possibly be bought out by other companies.
Okay, so besides from big companies, I'm curious to know, how will this affect people that already, like, especially in like residential places, not so much where we live, but I know other places around the world, like in Europe and stuff, where a lot of people have already installed the old technology. How will this new development, do you think that will affect them and their maintenance of what they have, or will they want to replace what they have, or how do you feel about that situation for individuals that have been able to use the photovoltaic solar panels with the glass now with the film?
I missed the last part of your sentence.
Just answer the question. I got cut off.
Yeah, I missed the last part of your statement. So how it's going to affect people that already have solar panels on their houses? Well, they've already made their investment, and so I think it's not going to affect their purchases. It's not going to affect their purchases. However, this business is changing so fast. Like every month, at least every month. I haven't seen an update lately, but frequently, that was your hat came right up to the video. I think the people that already have solar panels on their homes already, they're fine. The only thing is the technology changes so fast that what they've got installed on their house is going to be obsolete as soon as they get them installed. It's very unique that the photovoltaic industry is quite similar to your smartphone industry. Smartphones are changing, not a heck of a lot, but they're changing. So people can go out and get a smartphone 1 month, and then the next month they find out the next big thing is out and they want to go buy that one. Their cell phone's not even a year old, it's a month old, and they're upgrading to another phone. I think with the solar, photovoltaic industry, for people that already have them on their houses, it's not going to change a lot for them. What's going to change is, like I say, as technology gets more advanced, they could probably replace their solar panels and upgrade, just like people do with their telephones. The thing is, it's not going to be cheap as going out and buying a cell phone or upgrading to the next fancy schmancy smartphone, because somebody's got to get up on the roof and change these panels out. And how much energy are they going to change? Are they going to gain by doing that? Not a heck of a lot, I think. But what we got to look at is how, when these solar panels have been installed up until this point, has been not a lot of modifications to the roof, but they definitely have to put holes in the roof in order to install the solar panels up until now. Now I guess they're not going to have to put holes in the roof. So what does that do to the house's value when you're going up on the roof and putting holes in the roof? That's I think the main factor. Is not so much changing out your solar panels as the next big thing comes along, but how does the installation of solar panels or photovoltaics on your home actually affect the property value of your home? That's more of what the big issue is when it comes to powering your home with solar.
Sorry, I have to be muted. There's a bunch of background noise going on over here. But there's so basically, if you already have solar panels, because they have a shelf life, right? Eventually they lose their efficiency and you want to replace them anyway. So anybody out there that has invested in PV, you'll want to be taking a look, I think, at this new technology. What are the advantages of the new technology over the existing glass technology?
Well, from the sounds of it, from what Fraunhofer Institute is saying about them, is they're actually tougher, because I think by getting rid of the glass and using a composite in the manufacturing, it'd almost be like, I can imagine it being compared to like a glass window compared to a plexiglass window. You can throw a rock right through, or brick through a glass window and smash the window, but if you throw a brick at a plexiglass window, it's going to bounce off. So I think that's more like the comparison between these new solar panels compared to the old solar panels. I think also the efficiency, I'm not exactly sure. I was just kind of looking at their website, and I think it sounds to me like the efficiency of these new lightweight solar panels or photovoltaics, they're a little lighter and they have a little bit more power. How that's possible might be by removing the glass, because you got to remember, when you put a glass or any kind of any kind of surface, which is looking at the sun, is going to reflect light. And so by removing the glass out of the equation, I think that also raises up your efficiency a little bit, because the glass is not reflecting any light away from the solar cells. So that's an issue, I'd say, pretty big issue for your power output of one of these new modules. And the main thing is having them lighter. There might be issues where a building is old, and not that solar panels right now are super heavyweight, but they are quite a bit heavier than these new lightweight solar panels without glass. The glass with the Gigasolar glassless and frameless panels, they're simply lighter. So that means they can probably go in structures that aren't capable of having current photovoltaics installed on, or maybe the roof design does not accommodate drilling holes into the roof. So say there's a lot of glass on the roof of the house, or you've got some sort of shingle structure that would be adversely affected by installing framed heavy solar panels. Maybe that's where these gigasolar lighter solar panels might play a major role in being able to provide people with electricity on the roofs of these homes that aren't designed or are not suitable for having a standard solar panel with brackets and all that stuff put on it. It could actually make it possible to have them put on to more houses.
That's awesome. So, do you want to talk a little bit about how we're going to be utilizing the wafers with our own solar technology that we've been working on, and or what your idea is for using this technology in conjunction with what we're working on? For those of you who don't know, you can visit the website, Larry's website. It's not a blog, but it's a website, kingsss.ca, and you can get the latest update on what Larry's working on. But basically, we're using a Fresnel lens, which tracks the sun like a giant magnifying glass and concentrates the sun, kind of like frying ants on the sidewalk. But instead of ants, we have a fluid that we're heating up and pumping through thermoelectric generators, and we'll be storing that heated fluid for use after daylight hours are over. So can you describe the idea for using the film in conjunction with our own technology?
Well, the film that we're using at King Sunshine Solar System is more of a different application. What we're using it for is to protect some areas of our technology from ultraviolet radiation. Excuse me, I recently discovered that in our system we are allowing ultraviolet rays that were magnified about 2,900 times from the sun. I found out that the sun is about 10% ultraviolet rays, 40% natural light, and 50% infrared light. And I had no idea of this. However, I do know ultraviolet light is very destructive, and so what we're using the film for would be, I don't know if it's really similar to what Gigasolar would be doing. I'm not sure, because I don't know enough about this product. Like I said, this is really new. I don't even think anybody has, I don't even know if it's for sale yet, or where you can buy them, or how much they cost. And so I know that the manufacturers of the film that we use is that the film is actually designed to go into the back of a solar panel, whereas we're using them on the front of our equipment simply to block ultraviolet light. And so they might be using them on the fronts of some panels, but I'm not sure. That's kind of what their business would be in, which is quite a bit different than the photovoltaic business is completely different from the solar thermal or what we're doing. Unless you wanted to talk about, there's some other things that are quite a bit different, whereas I don't think it really is an issue of the film being used, but more of about how to use the energy that's actually being collected. That really doesn't have a lot to do with the film. The film is more of a structured thing. What I meant when I was talking about our supplier, and I told him about this new technology from Giga Solar, I was thinking it's an opportunity for them to somehow be involved with this new technology and incorporating them onto their film. So if you can imagine, since these things are so much lighter than solar panels, you might be able to put a lot of them together on a film and possibly, if they're flexible, roll them out. I'm not sure how flexible they are either, but I'm quite certain that they don't have the rigidity of a standard solar cell. Standard solar cells are pretty rigid.
So, do you see what our competitive edge is over this new technology, or I don't know if you have, like, because they're still not doing anything with the heat, which I think
Right.
is the big.
Yeah, they're basically doing what they've come up with is a lighter weight solar photovoltaic, and that's about it. They're still in the photovoltaic industry. We haven't even begun to incorporate photovoltaics into our design. However, we will be able to use photovoltaics in the design of our solar equipment. We just haven't gotten to that point. We're still working with the using the heat, but all the light is still there and it's concentrated, and it's also being cooled by our process. So once we find a company that is got a product available for us to use, I'm not sure. It might even be Giga Solar that has a product that we could incorporate into our system to actually gather the light energy, the cool light energy, and be able to produce electricity from the light. We're well on the way of we are already producing electricity simply by using the heat and the thermoelectric generators. The next step is, like you say, is to start making electricity from using the light energy. Because I'm not, the sun is a very complex thing. How the light energy is used on photovoltaics, it's a bit of a mystery, because photovoltaics don't like heat. They just don't work well when they're heated. And so that might be the main issue that's going to make us separate us from the rest of the pack, way out ahead of the rest of the pack, because once we determine what our efficiency is for using heat to make electricity, that number, whether it's 10%, 20%, 50%, we don't know yet, that number is going to be added to the efficiency of our solar cell that we plan to go with. And like I say, the standard of the solar photovoltaic industry is about 20%. And that's pretty high. But it hasn't gone up a lot. So I think that's really what separates us from them, is that we haven't even begun to use the light yet. So once we start using the concentrated sunlight with a photovoltaic technology, whatever it might be, it might be concentrated solar cells. I'm not sure. It's a bit of a struggle right now to find out what is going to be the right photovoltaic product to use in our design.
It's just absolutely fascinating being on this journey with this patented technology that we're developing. We've been able to add some more people to our mastermind. Unfortunately, they're not internet savvy, so they're not here on the Hangout with us. But hopefully we can bring them around to come and join us on the Hangout. But there's so many things that we've seen evolve. I'll never forget when we were in Dallas and we met, I believe it was the company Cylindra, and they were doing something similar to what we were doing, except for instead of concentrating with the lens onto a fluid, they were using some sort of PV cell, and then apparently they went out of business and took a bunch of government financing with them or something like that. But it's just very disruptive. The whole marketplace is constantly shifting in regards to the new technology that comes out, which is why we do these Hangouts, because it's just fascinating to watch. Even though neither one of us has a huge technical background or whatever, we certainly enjoy discussing the potential and the possibilities. And the reason that we wanted to have these conversations in Hangout form is for people out there watching to be able to act on some of these ideas or come up with their own ideas just based out of the discussion, because we're pretty tied up with our own disruptive technology that we're developing. But whenever we bring a new topic here, there's always ideas and potentials. And I was listening to Earl Nightingale speech that he gave, or a talk that he gave many, many years ago. And he was talking about how humanity is constantly and perpetually in search of new and better products, processes, services, and all these things. And so it's really cool to be involved in an industry that's on the cutting edge of providing that improvement as far as meeting global energy needs in new and disruptive ways. So what are your feelings about the future based on this announcement coming out of the Fraunhofer Institute, Larry?
Well, they did their tests, and the tests came out with GigaSolar's new product came out with flying colors. So that in itself is the whole solar photovoltaic industry is going to take notice, no doubt. And a lot of big companies are right now scratching their heads, wondering, what do we do next? Like, what are we going to do with all this inventory of aluminum? I would not like to be in their shoes, because like when the game changes, you have to change with the game, or you go away. And we might just end up seeing that. In fact, there's a good chance we will see some big players go down, and that's just the nature of the beast. That's business, and you either change or you go away. And so with this technology, and a lot is going to depend on what Giga Solar intends to do with this technology. I'm not sure if they're going to license it to all these companies. If that's the case, which would probably be really smart for Giga Solar, that means the companies will be able to change. They just retool. They retool. They stop using certain things that they don't need to use anymore, and they just change with the technology. And we'll probably see a lot of that. However, there are, like I said, some companies have invested a lot of money into technology that has now become obsolete.
The bigger you are, the harder it is to make those changes, because you've got so much more resources behind the momentum that you have in one direction. So it's a little easier for smaller companies like ours to change direction when stuff like this occurs. And I just want to point out to like people out there, I know in the media that there was a lot of, I don't really know what goes on in there anymore, but back in the day when Solyndra had to file Chapter 11, I believe, there was a lot of backlash and criticism of Obama at the time because he had invested like millions of dollars of taxpayer money into the company and it went bankrupt. However, people like the general population watching that is for the most part watching from the perspective of an employee. And so when you have that perspective of employee, you don't understand that when you try to do big things, there's big risk, and there's winners and losers, and through continuing to develop technology like this, eventually we all win in the long run. So if you see some big companies that have had government backing and support, I just encourage you to understand that it's the nature of the beast and that it's not something to be so critical about or to complain about, because really it's all pushing us forward in a better direction for alternative energy. Every single bit of it, all of the failures just bring us closer to success in dealing with some of the situations that have been created on the planet because of oil and gas, and making that shift away from an oil-based economy to be able to operate with alternative energy. There's going to be some growing pains there, and so to just have a little bit more understanding as you watch things unfold in the media with some of these companies that may go down because of this new technology, especially like the bigger ones. What do you think about that, Larry? Hello, can you hear me? You're muted. Can you unmute yourself, Larry? I can't hear you. Oh,
I was sneezing and I didn't want to.
I heard you sneeze, but then you muted after.
Yeah, something started making me sneeze. I'm not sure what. But yeah, as far as Solyndra goes, I think Obama took the rap for that, but people have to remember a lot of the stuff that's going on right now in the United States regarding this industry is being done by the Department of Energy, because that's what it's all about. It's all about energy and replacing coal as how we get our electricity. So, sorry, just what did you want me to comment on?
Just basically some of the, like, what the big players that go down, just that actually I don't even know. I'm not sure what I was wanting you to say. I don't know how you feel about the changing industry, I guess, the landscape of the marketplace and how it's constantly shifting. And
well, there's a lot of things that happen, and I get these, like I say, I get these daily reports, sometimes twice a day. I get the reports of what the entire industry is doing on three different perspectives from three different information sources. Actually, there's more than three. I'm getting emails from about six, because the oil and gas is affected by it. There's developments going on in oil and gas, so I've now subscribed to some other magazines in that area as well. A lot of these news reports also seem to overlap. And when they overlap, you know something's going on. This announcement about Giga Solar's blast with solar panel pretty much covered the board. Everybody was, it was kind of a news item on everybody's magazine. So as far as how they go about changing the industry and how these big players are going to survive it, it's anyone's guess. You know, when I hear certain things changing, or a lot of money being spent on developing a technology regarding photovoltaics, a lot of the time I'm scratching my head because I'm thinking, why are they doing something that's so hard to do? Why not do something that's easy to do? And so I think that's also what sets us aside, sets us apart from other companies like Sharp, for like Siemens. I can't even think of some of the big names. Solar City, is that we started with an idea. We didn't start with any kind of knowledge. We didn't have prior knowledge. We knew that the sun gave off a lot of light and it gave off a lot of heat. And that's where we got started. And so for us to look at what other companies are doing now, I think we're so far off the beaten path, but it's a good path.
You mentioned Solar City. I think earlier when we were talking, you were telling me something about how you thought that this new development may affect the projects that Elon Musk is involved with, which I'm always excited when he's involved. Did you want to comment on how that's going to affect what he's been up to? I know you follow Elon quite closely and keep tabs on what he's up to. So will this affect their projects at all?
Well, no doubt he's an awesome force in Elon Musk is an awesome force in the solar industry and the alternative energy. You know, Tesla Motors and SpaceX, all these businesses he's got going are definitely great. You know, they're awesome. I have a lot of respect for his businesses. But the Solar City company, which he also owns most of it, I imagine. I think he works with his cousin or brother with Solar City. I know they just, I remember seeing something in the news about them recently purchasing a factory, another solar cell manufacturing company. And of course that would not be, it would be old school type of technology that they purchased. But the thing is, just because it's old school doesn't mean it's going to affect their business. If they've already got houses and buildings to attach these on with using brackets and glass and all the stuff that's associated with their product, then they've already got their sale made, right? And so it's not going to be an issue for them right off the bat. But as soon as the other competitors, whoever Giga Solar decides to work with as the distributor or end user of their products, that's when it's really going to affect companies like Solar City.
Well, it's always like so exciting to hear these updates that you get. I'm not very well versed in any of this, and yeah, I don't. I know that you have your prior experience with your patents and your process and stuff of inventing, but for me, the whole thing is just fascinating and it's all new and exciting, and I'm just on the edge of my seat to you know, like there's been so many times where I really thought that big things were happening with our company, and then it didn't quite work out. And so, but I know that every failure that we come across, everything, it was like, I think it was Thomas Edison that talked about how, you know, it wasn't a failure. It was just one more thing that didn't work that you could cross off the list and go back to the drawing board and try something new. And every time he crossed something off the list because that experiment didn't work, he knew that he was getting closer to what would work. And I feel very connected to that process, just being able to hear about what you're doing, even though half the time I don't really know what you're talking about. I just find it really exciting. And I know that the persistence that you've shown thus far will pay off. And I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Well, I think it's even with the most recent discovery we made that just fell out of the blue was the effects of ultraviolet radiation. I had no idea that ultraviolet radiation could affect what we were working on so so immensely, being that we are magnifying the sun or concentrating the sun's energy. I often wonder how it affects other business, like the one you visited in the desert. I can't remember the name of that company, but they had all the solar thermal mirrors, the U-shaped mirrors, how that affects their process. I don't know if ultraviolet even is an issue for them, but for what we're doing, it was questionable as to what was happening. I know they don't burn stuff in those with the molten salt application, but with the fluids that we're running, they're not quite the same as molten salt. So of course they're going to be affected by ultraviolet radiation more than some other products out there. So I think that most recently with our tubing, changing out the tubing lines was big. That solved some major problems for us. And then this discovery about how do we keep from burning the fluids we're working with. It was very basic how we came about that. I started thinking about suntan lotion and what does suntan lotion do to your skin? Well, you put it on your skin, you can go out in the sun, you won't get a sunburn, but you still feel the heat of the sun. So that was how it got started, that we've got to do something about this ultraviolet radiation. And we've done that now. And so tomorrow, over the next few days, I think are going to be super huge for the company, because it was only a short time ago, I said, after we learned to work with this new tubing, that once we had no leaks, we were there. I was saying that for a few weeks. And that was true, and leaks are very important not to have when you're running fluid at 200 Celsius. However, why were we burning so much stuff? I wasn't sure. So I think the way we have solved that is probably pretty huge, and it should be a lot easier going from now on. And I think we'll be having a real successful test over the next few days here, where we're going to produce the energy we were to produce a few years ago. Yeah.
So yeah, that it will be interesting, and depending what happens with the testing over the weekend, we may be touching on solar power again on Monday when we hang out again, barring technical difficulties. And also, if things don't, well, I guess we'll give a quick update either way on how the testing goes. If things go well, we may discuss it for the whole hangout, but we're still want to get back on our robot vision, because I'm super excited about that. I was having dreams about it. Actually, the dream I had, it was like the slap chop, if anybody remembers that commercial where the guy, and so it was basically that, except for it was a robot, and you just put your like vegetable in it and pressed a button and it went slap, slap, slap all by itself, which I think would be easy to do. But anyway, I'm super excited about that topic, and we'll definitely be talking about that a lot more in the future. And also, I guess whenever interesting things pop up about solar panels or the outer net or other disruptive technologies that are out there, Larry is really, really good at keeping tabs on the latest and greatest, newest innovations and processes that are coming out and into the marketplace. I guess being an inventor, that's kind of his business. So he always is coming up with ideas for new topics that we can discuss. And definitely, if you ever want to join us, when I post on Facebook, you can just leave a comment, or if you find this on YouTube, just search my name on Facebook and send me a private message and say, hey, I watched your hangout on YouTube there, and I was wondering if I could come on and chat with you guys sometimes, because It's getting maybe a little boring for our viewers that it's just you and me all the time, but we've had some guests before and it didn't really work out so good because they weren't, I don't think they were really interested in the topic. I think that they were here for something else. I'm not sure exactly what was going on. If you watch the replays, you'll see what I mean. So anyway, you have to kind of be willing to be on camera because one of our guests that came in like didn't have any camera and was just a voice in the ether, and that's not really as effective, I don't think, as like the whole point of the Hangout is that we can see and talk to each other like on the Jetsons, right? So it's super awesome. I love doing these, and I'd love to have you come and join us sometime. So Larry, do you have any final comments on the solar wafers or solar film? Which is it? What exactly is it called? I forget. Sorry. Hello, you got to unmute. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I would say it's glassless, lightweight solar panels, solar photovoltaics, and I was just looking at their website here a little bit, and yes, they do use on the film backing on their new product, and it's probably the same stuff that we're using on the front of our product. So, which means they also haven't figured out exactly how they're going to attach to the roofs, but it's going to be a lot easier than what they have been doing, mounting solar panels onto the homes. I kind of also like to mention that when we had a few months span there where we weren't talking about disruptive technology for a few months, there was a lot of developments that happened in the solar industry that probably worth mentioning. Is the they all just left my mind for a second there, but there was a lot of things over the past few months that have happened regarding the solar industry, and I think it hasn't been a lot of focus on the technology or efficiency, technology regarding the efficiency of solar panels. There's been a lot more development going on with thin film solar. So I think the world realizes, yeah, I don't want these big bulky windows going up on top of the roof of my house that weigh a whole bunch of stuff, that collect snow, that I can't maintenance myself. So I think that's, when we're talking about it being a game changer, I think really that's what GigaSolar has really done. Their new solar photovoltaics are as efficient as what you can buy right now, and they are so new. They are still developing the method of installing them on houses. That's how new this is.
Cool.
And so,
and
yeah,
likely because they're so much more lightweight, the costs are going to go down significantly with transporting and installation and stuff. So anyway, time's run out, so I'm going to wrap it up. Definitely we'll be discussing this topic and more in the future. Monday, same time,
right
same
on.
place. And right now, I just want to take the opportunity to, if you're on our Disruptive Hangout page, you'll see a button below. We're just going to hop on our Empower Network All Access training. It's starting in about 3 minutes, and we'd invite you to, as soon as the Hangout ends, click the button and join us. It's an absolutely free training, and we're going to be learning about the disruptive technology that is internet marketing. And if you may or may not be aware, but places like Sears and Walmart are closing many of their stores, and this is a disruption that is happening in the marketplace due to technology, because in today's day and age, our whole economy is shifting from brick and mortar to click and order, and so people are not going down to Walmart necessarily to buy a TV today. A lot of people are looking at websites, even Walmart.com, you can purchase many of the items that they have in their store from their website and have it delivered directly to their door. So this whole e-commerce thing is taking the global markets by storm. It is having a huge disruptive effect on the marketplace, and we're super excited because the company that we're involved with is literally on the cutting edge of internet marketing, and they will give you tips and tricks that will teach you how to market the current business that you're involved in more effectively, or be able to start an online enterprise, or be able to sell any products or service in the online space, and to do it effectively and profitably, and basically to be able to do it from home or the beach or any place that you can get an internet connection. To be able to do commerce is an awesome development in humanity, and I'm super excited for that. So we'll see you Monday, same time, same place. Thank you so much for being here with us. I hope everybody has a great day. I'm a firm believer that in this life, absolutely anybody can be, do, and have anything they want, or we can have everything we want, and I choose everything, and I hope you will too. So click that button below and join us for the All Access, and it's starting now. So over and out. Bye, Larry.